20 years old, planning to quit UNI and move to Thailand to work on business. So I just finished second year of UNI. Didn't do great, as I really haven't been interested in the stuff I'm learning and spent way more time working on my business than revising lol. I'm now on a placement, working for 1 year before I'm expected to go back for final year. But I don't think I'm going to go back to UNI as I don't see the investment in both time and money worth it, given how much I dislike UNI and it won't take me to where I want to be. Instead, I'm thinking about saving as much as I can from my placement and moving to Thailand to focus on my business. As the living costs there are super low, it means I don't need to make that much from the business to sustain me and I can reach freedom a lot sooner. Also, Thailand is full of entrepreneurs, so the environment sounds great. Currently I'm making about £100 or PM and I'm well aware this isn't much, but it only proves that my product is viable and people are willing to pay for it. If I don't manage to make much from the business for a while, I already have £6,000 in savings plus the salary for the placement is £15,000, should be able to save at least £8,000 from that. So I'm just wondering if anyone here has moved to Thailand to work on their business and has any advice? What do you think of my plan? I know quitting UNI is controversial, but I honestly don't see many advantages to continuing. My placement finishes next year and I'll be 21. The 9 to 5 is just not for me and I want to get out of it ASAP. I feel like a minion helping someone else become rich. To anyone who has done this before, got any visa advice? Also, I haven't registered my business yet, so it's basically a side project right now, but I'd prefer to do that in the UK then operate from Thailand. Is that possible or a good idea? Would really appreciate any kind of advice. Very difficult to give any advice if we have no clue about the feasibility of your business. General thoughts: don't do it. Finish your degree and then you're free to do whatever you want for as long as you have cash. Get the idea out of your head that working for SB else is some method to be avoided at all costs. Reaching the point where you build a business that pays the bills takes a long time for most people. If you definitely do want to follow this plan of yours, get a certification as an English teacher before you move. You can 100% get work there easily and can cover your bills as you are working on your business. For somebody to move into entrepreneurship full time, they need to have enough cash to cover themselves for at least 1 to 2 years. Unless they have a validated plan to make money quickly. Why would you drop out and move halfway around the world when your business is not even a business yet? How is that remotely a smart move? Is it? Then why don't you scale it instead of thinking about Thailand? Why Thailand? I've not been to Thailand, although was asked to go some time back, and will echo my sentiments here. Thailand in my opinion is not what you think it is. It looks nice on FB pictures, but are you really going to improve your business by going there? Likely not. Like almost all 21-year-olds, you have wanderlust and are trying to justify it by going to Thailand to work on business. Real business is rough. All the idiots showing you Shopify screenshots on YouTube don't run real businesses. They are mostly one-man bands surviving off Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube or some other promotional trick. Real businesses have clients, assets, balance sheets, lawsuits and a network. You get none of that by going to Thailand. Without going around the houses, I'll say this: if you want to go to Thailand, use your summer break and rough it for 3 months. Backpacking or whatever it's called. Get it out of your system. You may be able to survive doing freelance work, but I'll tell you now that when you get to 27 plus, you'll look back and think about how much opportunity you missed because you were being naive. My most ardent recommendation would be to stay and focus on developing yourself and by virtue, your business. and use the money you earn to go on holidays as a reward. If your business takes you to those destinations, even better. But never underestimate the brutality of what's required to create a company of value. In terms of university, that's a personal choice, but as someone who didn't go, I will tell you now that you'll make it 100x harder for yourself in the real world. University opens doors that you would otherwise have to build from scratch. I found that out the hard way. If you don't believe me, here's a clip of Felix Dennis iterating the same : finally, and this probably the biggest aspect to all of this, cares about you. At 21, there's likely at least some aspect of I'm cool because I lived in Thailand behind your jaunt. Whilst this may impress your fellow Love Island watching student friends, the closer to 30 you get, the less importance it holds. No one gives the slightest shit about your personal life, and if you're going to Thailand for some fun in the sun, you'll be better just going on an extended holiday. Don't fool yourself into thinking you're going to build a legit business out there. Business is hard even if you're born into a prosperous country such as the US or UK. Unless you can ardently say that Thailand is definitely going to enhance your chances of success, I'd stay put. If you want some further reading, I'd peruse Simon Dolan's book. Thanks for the replies. Why Thailand? Because the living costs are so low, which means it shouldn't take too long focusing on the business full time before I make enough income to be equal or more than my living costs so it becomes sustainable. Right now I only have time in the mornings and evenings to work on it because of placement, and now I see the business is starting to gain traction and income has been increasing. I got the idea of moving to Thailand from this video, and when I hear about all the entrepreneurs there it made it sound even better, as I could finally be in an environment where entrepreneurship is encouraged. I've been pretty miserable at UNI the past 2 years, just learning all this theoretical nonsense I don't care about. So I thought it would be a waste of time to complete the degree, given that I don't enjoy it and want to be an entrepreneur anyway. I'm studying computer science. I love programming but hate lectures and theory. But now these replies are starting to make me think I should just stick it out. My results aren't great though. I may end up with a 2.2 as I always end up working on my business more than the course material. So I don't know how useful the degree will be in the end. Is the guy in the video someone you want to take life advice from? If you want to cut living expenses, nothing wrong with living with your parents. In terms of what you're doing, what's your business? Are you a freelance coder or have a product? If the latter, what costs are required to keep investing into it? As regards the university situation, my brother was in a similar position. He studied mechanical engineering and ended up doing spreadsheets at Rolls-Royce, hated it. However, he was smart in that he saved his money, went traveling around Asia, Thailand, Japan etc. on a shoestring for 6 months, moved back with my parents for a time and then used the money he'd saved to buy a house and get a more tolerable job. Whilst you don't want to get a job, you want to cultivate a network. I'm involved with software. Perhaps you could give us some specifics on the focus of your studies? The real question is, what skills do you already have? Your username is TimTheCoder, but are you actually proficient in any major programming language? If yes, then you are already one step ahead. If not, then you might fit right in with the hordes of wantpreneurs flooding to Thailand daily. I've been to Thailand 2 times in the last 7 months, and spent 1 month on each occasion. Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Krabi. I met a lot of these so-called entrepreneurs you speak of, and a large chunk are only in the business of selling dreams, in form of webinars and such. They target starry-eyed people with lines like how to live in paradise and build a business empire. The ones working on real things, or already fully in the groove, are few and far between. Computer science is one of those fields where your skills speak a bit louder than your degree. My suggestion is you give it a try, but only if your current expenses significantly exceed your projected expenses in Thailand. and you actively invest the difference into growing the business. Not getting drunk on Coulson Road every night. Also, make sure your college credits are transferable, in case you decide to go back to graduate. Better yet, formally take a year off from college and go give it your best shot. After that, you might be in a better position to decide your direction. Forget about it if you are only thinking about Thailand because of cost of living. I just got back from 3 years away from Australia, living in Thailand, Vietnam and Bali. I'm spending less on my living expenses now being back in Australia. lol.However, it's cool if you join in with a co-working or digital nomad community in some hotspots in East Asia. I haven't found anything similar in Australia. I don't recommend going though if it's just to save money on living expenses. You can do the same at home if you look hard enough and won't have the stress of budget living in Asia. There are plenty of legit remote workers and business owners around too. Maybe it was just that area. I know Chiang Mai is famous for those kind of guys but can't say for sure. I was only there for the New Year's party. Lol. Just don't come back in a few years huffing and puffing about why you didn't become a millionaire from dropping out of university, moving to a third world country and using a YouTube video to gauge your life choices. My advice is to not drop out before you have a successful business. Backpacking is not as great as it's made out to be, and in Thailand you have no fallback method, welfare or social services or family if your business fails, which it will at some point. Furthermore, it seems that the reason you are leaving UNI is because you aren't getting great marks. Giving up is not a trait you want to have as an entrepreneur. A better method is to finish university. You only have 2 years left while building some sort of business on the side. Once you finish you can try this starry-eyed dream these YouTubers are selling you. Good luck. As someone who recently graduated, don't quit. It's not that hard to finish it, it doesn't take that much of your time to maintain decent results, and you never know how useful it might be someday. I look at it as short-term safety net. Let's be honest, entrepreneurship is really hard. Therefore, if some major shit goes down, I can at least get myself back up by working in a comfortable job and saving up, not washing dishes for pennies. My degree is usually in my opinion, but I'm glad I got it. I wanted to quit badly, but you know why I didn't? Because I had no plan B. My idea is validated because I make $100 per month. That's bullshit. I made $100 in few days easy of copywriting on the side, but I didn't quit school. You know why? Because I'm still not on a level where I can comfortably and safely be a full-time copywriter. Finish it, get the degree and use every single minute of your free time to build a machine that will free you from job forever. Actually yes, I've been watching him for about a year and he generally gives pretty solid advice. He is super successful as well. Actually got recommended by him, so that's how I discovered this whole world. I'm not sure they'll want me to move in. My parents don't understand entrepreneurship. No doubt if I move in they'll be harassing me to get a job, so not sure this is the best environment. I have a product. It's called Quiznetic. The current version isn't scalable, but I've been working on V2 for a year and soon we'll be releasing it. You can check it out at. On version 1 I have over 9,000 registered users, making around £100 or PM, and have done practically zero marketing, which is why I feel like I may have an opportunity with this. Version 2 has a new pricing structure in hopes of growing the revenue a bit. Costs are currently only £6 or PM, but the new version they'll be higher, not sure by how much as it's based on usage with cloud hosting. This is true, and as Thailand is full of entrepreneurs, especially Chiang Mai, like said, I would have thought this would be a great place to network. In the UK there aren't that many entrepreneur groups except for in London, but so expensive down there. Skeptical, distributed systems, software engineering, languages, and computation, image processing, operating systems, and concurrency, etc. Some of these sound interesting, but the way UNI teaches things through lecture slides makes everything dull. I much prefer learning on my own by playing around with things. I've barely learned anything useful, especially since I'm self-taught programmer, so I'm already familiar with most of the programming-related things they teach. Yes, I'm pretty good with JavaScript and Node.js. Learned React.js a year ago and been using it for the new version of my product. Also a variety of other technologies, but I won't bother listing them all here. I hope it's not as bad as you make it out to be. There's always going to be a few of those, but there will be some who are doing actual stuff. Exactly. And in my placement interview, one of the interviewers said I could probably get into a few companies based on the programming I do in my spare time, without the degree. So I'm fairly confident I could get a job without a degree should I need one. I guess this wouldn't be a bad idea. Thanks. I lived in Thailand for about a year. While I was there, I learned or improved my coding and vector drawing and published 3 iPhone apps. This was a while back, 9 to 10 years, when iPhone was pretty young. I didn't make much money, but I also didn't have as clear of an idea about what to do in business at that time, as I do now. This forum would have helped me a lot. That said, we didn't go broke or anything. My wife and 1-year-old at the time were with me, and neither starved. Living is pretty cheap in Thailand as long as you don't have to live in a mansion and dine on imported food. I'd suggest network people within college, complete the degree because that is credentials, and credentials is value to your customers in the right market. But if you're really stressed out from school right now, take a semester off. Do go to Thailand for 2 to 3 weeks, and just relax and self-reflect. Motivation and clarity is made when we rest. I've been traveling around the world for the past 10 years, and I thought the same, but it's really a phase I had to go through. I had to get it out of my system, experience the world, and feel what freedom looks like. Also, I've tried different ventures, and you will fail on your first few ones until you find a one that works for you. But with those failures, you'll resort to your part-time job to live, while you pivot and start another venture that works. What I'm doing is similar to you, but currently I work part-time at an office, learning and banking it here, and creating an online business on the side, and when I hit my cash flow that I can live on without a job, then I will move out to a country I love to live in. End of the day, the decision is up to you. Just know what you're getting into. Know the pros and cons before moving. Lol, why so negative? I don't see anything wrong with following successful people on YouTube and taking action on some of their advice. To be clear, I'm not talking about moving to Thailand permanently. Just for a period of about 6 months will do, so I can focus on getting the business off the ground and surround myself with people who are doing similar things. Not so. I haven't done that badly, still past second year. Averaged just over 80% in my first year. This year I averaged 52%. And even after first year I wanted to quit, but being with friends in a joint tenancy agreement made me continue. You know how time is your most valuable asset. That's what makes me think I shouldn't waste my time with something that isn't going to serve me. But there are pros and cons, I guess. This would definitely be a safer method. I've been doing this already the past 2 years at UNI. I just really want to go full-time and not have to worry about pointless exams and stuff. Skeptical. Thank you for the detailed response. You must appreciate most people asking about moving to Thailand don't have much going for them. If you have 9,000 plus users on a product that you didn't even market, I would call that a success. Having looked over what you've got, it's got massive potential, especially for the course market such as on Udemy. I believe the term for these tools is. It's got a great name, is relatively innovative, and seems to have a good reputation in the market. I made something similar when my mother worked with a special needs child. It was in VB6, but I lost the code now. I would still avoid going to Thailand. You'd be better putting your time or money into getting a bare bones version of V2 sorted, and then talking to distribution partners for it. The scope for the product is substantive, particularly for the likes of health and education. What are your plans on marketing it moving forward? You do not like school. You feel it is a waste of time. It is pointless to you because you want to focus on your business. If you cannot succeed now, what guarantees do you have that you will succeed somewhere else? A place that is completely different culturally? A place where you most likely will need to make a whole new social support group. A place where you might have to spend a long time to learn to live safely and wisely. What if you feel the same way, but you're now in Thailand? What then? More importantly, will you be happier? If you cannot be happy now in relatively comfortable circumstance, how will a change in circumstances make you happy for the long term? Circumstances change all the time. It is life. You might feel the same way down the road. You are free to do what you wish. However, it might be more beneficial to you to take some time off of school and work on your mind and your business where you are at right now. I agree with the others. Go travel to Thailand for a few weeks or the summer and see if you still feel the same before you completely uproot yourself. I'm sure someone has already asked, but will your business, as it exists today, pay for you to live in Thailand? If yes, who gives a shit? Go for it. If not, get the adventure out of your system by reading some Kerouac. Thanks for showing interest in it. Honestly, I don't know much about marketing, so I'm trying to learn. Currently reading the one-page marketing plan, which is supposed to be very good. I'm getting the feeling though that it might be more for audience businesses with email lists and stuff. Not sure if that's the best strategy for me. I'm not a teacher, so I don't think I'm qualified to write about classroom learning and things content marketing. Do you have any suggestions for resources to learn from? Okay, maybe moving to Thailand is too big a jump and will distract me, or I might die from my inexperience. Lol. I found apartments in Thailand for only like £180 or PM, which is half my rent now. Also, my manager at work used to live in Thailand and he was saying how good it was, so it really got me thinking about it seriously. I can't believe the answers here. When did you get your nuts cut off? Stay in school. Don't take the risk. Jesus Christ. Don't listen to them. Say yes. Screw school. Take a chance and make it happen. You'll ask, what if I took the risk when you're older, and you'll hate yourself for being a wimp. Just do it. Lol, I was wondering if there would be a post like this. Honestly, I didn't expect so many people on there to be saying to stay in school. I guess I'm one of the few who thinks you should just go for it. Not that I have a great track record of success in life, but then, I never did anything quite like that. It seems like it could be a great experience, one way or another. You never know what kind of experiences you might have or who you might meet. Even if it turns into a painful experience, like you have to spend your days stooped over in a rice field just to keep from starving too much, it'll certainly be character building. I understand the feeling of alienation from your CS studies. I used to be a CS major and had to switch because the classes and textbooks put me to sleep. Most of my coding skills now are self-taught, but when I look back at my code from my CS days, it was atrocious. It sounds like going solo. You've done way better than I had by depending on my classes. Still, all else held equal, it is true that a degree is better than no degree, but you can always finish it later. This teach your brain that you first need to get what you want. Once you have done it, then you have the freedom to move wherever you want. Wait, I was going to ask, how is that bullshit? If there's one, there's more. What would you consider a validated idea? No, but the reason I'm saying about moving to Thailand temporarily BTW, like 6 months, is so I can work full-time on business with low living expenses and be around people who are doing similar things. The low living expenses is key because it can become sustainable pretty quickly. I'm not going for sandy beaches and nice weather, because it looks nice. I don't care about that. There's nowhere in the UK which offers super low living expenses and is an entrepreneurial hub. Marketing is its own ball game. The core of it is the N. Article explains it best. On top of the USP you have there. This is a descriptive term used to highlight the several aspects which determine the market share of a product. It's typically presented as the 4 Ps, but some people have got up to 7. Ultimately, like your studies in school, the problem with this is that it's observatory. It's designed to describe products which have been created, and has relatively little to do with any new products that may be brought to market. If you are interested in creating a product and building market share, it's not going to be of much help. Fortunately, there's a simple way. Product plus offer. The secret to creating a successful product is the offer, the thing the product does that no one else ever will. You may consider the offer as the point is, and I've said this several times on the forum before, no one buys the product. The code, or technicality, of what you've created isn't what sells your offering, but that it can derive for the people using it. These results, and specifically how your product creates them, is what determines its value. Whilst you obviously need a great product which you have, the key metric is making it indispensable to a group of people who didn't think they previously needed such a thing. Do that, and you have a flourishing business. Obviously, this is quite esoteric, and can cause issues. However, if you're able to work with companies or institutions who may benefit from the model of what you've created, interactive quizzes, you may find a budget for enhanced training mechanisms. If you're able to deliver that with a web-based platform, you'll start attracting clients. I can help brainstorm some more if interested. Going for a 3-week or even several month break won't do you any harm, but don't expect to come home to a flourishing company. That's all I was saying. This is what I was thinking. You sound like you know what you are doing. 9K users with no marketing? That's productocracy. Well done. If you move, you will pay less rent, enjoy more the place you live, have more time for your business, and be surrounded by a better entrepreneur environment. Just do it. Thanks for all the great information. Haven't had time to fully study this yet, but will definitely refer back to it. Love this quote. I wonder why the luxurious ideal of a tropical Thailand is so tempting over the stigmatized parents' basement to cut expenses. I would make the argument that moving out anywhere, not just Thailand, is a great investment in and of itself. If it makes you more happy or productive or motivated, then the investment will pay off. There's also the problem of people getting too comfortable. If you're on your own in Thailand, you know that you need to bust your ass to pay the bills, or you're on the streets and all of a sudden you're a lady boy offering entertainment services. At home, you can just chill pretty much indefinitely because mommy plus daddy got you covered. Didn't MJ turn his whole life around the second he moved out of Chicago and to us? Sometimes that's all someone needs. I think places like Thailand and Bali are a great idea. There's some great co-working spaces and communities to hang out with like-minded people. But when you are already making at least 1K per month. Otherwise it can suck. Haha. Yeah, exactly, and no doubt my parents would be harassing me to get a job, so I don't think it would be a great environment. Don't listen to all this people telling you to stay in school. They are just thinking that if you finished school you'll have that safety net to fall back on when you quit your business. This implies that your business won't be a success. If you think like that, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. Think of it like this. If you're paying for college, you're most likely getting a loan. That loan is you investing in a small business, which is you. You're telling the bank, hey, give me a small business loan and I'll pay it back once I start getting paid by my customer who's my employer. Just do it. You'll learn more in 6 months in Thailand than 4 years in college. College is a bubble and most people never leave that bubble. By going to Thailand you'll learn about people and how the world actually works. It'll be brave of you to throw yourself into the world like that. When I was your age, I went and stayed in a third world country for 6 months. When I came back to the US, my mind and outlook in life had changed. The things that I took for granted in the USA I was thankful for. Also, you'll see how people don't change across cultures. You'll find the same characters and politics wherever you go. From what you wrote, you already have a product that sells. Imagine working in marketing the product 12 hours a day 7 days a week because you have so much free time. I bet you will increase your sales from $100 to $1,000 a month in no time. Good luck and keep us updated on what you end up doing. And one last thing, FCK College. Care to elaborate on this? What doors did you have to build from scratch that the university would have opened for you? And how do you know that if you never went to college? I've been hearing this a lot lately. People claiming that it's not about the degree or knowledge but the connections you make in college that make it worth it. It's like that's their new marketing campaign after the college students earn more in their lifetime campaign failed. I even heard this from Mark Cuban telling kids to stay in college even though he dropped out. What he doesn't mention is that those connections come with a price tag. Usually around the 6-figure mark. You'll pay for those connections now and in the future through your loans. Secondly, wouldn't someone who starts a business and gets out there naturally come across these connections? Surely he would meet other business owners and network. If your business can easily be brought to $1,000 a month, then you can just do that in your current situation with no drastic changes needed in your environment. Once you have made it to $1,000 a month, which is enough to cover your costs in Thailand, then you can move freely. Nobody here says that it's a bad idea to move to Thailand. Just don't pretend that moving to Thailand will solve your current problem, which is that your business doesn't pay for your bills. Of course there's more. Somewhere, a distance away. I'm all for taking risks and sacrificing things to succeed with entrepreneurial endeavors, but quitting school to pursue something that made you $100. Okay, that might cover minimum food supply in Thailand. But, is it recurring $100? Do you have more prospects that are very likely to join? Don't get me wrong. I want you to be happy and succeed. But honestly I don't know much about marketing, so I'm trying to learn. And the already mentioned revenue. What full-time are you talking about? I don't know what kind of business you're starting, therefore I can't really see the whole full-time potential aspect. Of course, I might be not as much of a risk taker as others here on the forum, but I would much rather put the minimum effort to finish the studies and use every minute of my free time to build the business. The point about low living expenses, you're absolutely right. That's why I moved back with parents not proud, but works for now. Of course, Thailand would be the same costs, but I feel like many people go there and years later they travel around the world making $800 a month. Real entrepreneur doesn't need a better environment. You just have to work hard. Thailand is overrated by all. How I afford to travel the world while working 2 hours a day. There's too much fun and distractions. For travel-loving freelancers? Great. For building a massive business? Unnecessary. What I'm trying to say is, get the business to a level that you can at least cover your living costs and expect that it will progress. P.S. And I will add to what others said, go there for a few-week trip. I get what you're saying. It is less risky to do it on the side while finishing UNI. My reasoning was if I moved to Chiang Mai or somewhere similar it would be easy to grow it quickly because I can learn from others doing similar things and cover my expenses fairly easily. And I'm not talking about a permanent move, just around 6 months would be good. 6 months of focusing on the business full-time and meeting like-minded people. I made just over £200 last month and month before was about £90. In total I've made about £800 since March 2018. With zero marketing, I think that's pretty decent and shows it has potential. I don't even see this as a big risk. If I can just postpone my university course for a year, we'll need to look into that. By the end of my placement, I should have more than enough savings for 1 year as well. Man, you really got me with your question, as I am a big fan of Thailand and have been thinking to move there as well. However, my advice for you is that you complete your studies before you move to Thailand. I consider a university degree a usable major as an insurance if things go wrong. While we all here aspire to develop our own businesses, it's always good to have a plan B. After you completed your studies, you can give your plan to move to Thailand a shot. I have a good amount of friends who live as expats in Bangkok, and all of them are entrepreneurs. While there are a lot of business opportunities, you must know that it's a hard place to make business, especially if you're a foreigner and obviously not talking Thai language. Also, I must admit that you need have a high degree of discipline in Thailand, as there are a lot of temptations that potentially can keep you away from work, parties, girls and so on. Hope this helps. There is a major difference between 9K free users and 9K paying users. But there's no reason to have a plan B, as it distracts from plan A. Is this just if you want to set up a business in Thailand? What if I set it up in the UK and operate in Thailand for 6 months? That's what I'd like to do. I'm not much of a party person anyway, so I don't see this being a big issue. I'm pretty disciplined, as that's how I've got my product to where it is. Get up at 5 AM nearly every day to work on it. But who knows, I guess this bigger change in environment could destroy the routine I have going. Am I missing something here? If you don't enjoy nor want to go to UNI, then leave. If you want to work on your business and experience other countries, then do it. You'll never regret not finishing UNI unless you're not serious about creating a fast-lane business and lifestyle. Worst case scenario, you experience Thailand, come back broke. Get a side job to cover expenses and keep hustling. Sounds like you've made your mind up already and simply want permission. Give yourself permission and go. I am against quitting UNI, unless you can continue your study in the future. You love programming? Why not just learn it on your own? I mean, that's what I did. I don't know if most employers look for a degree if you're moving into that field. I think they just want to know you're capable. But ask around first. I run a business. I dropped out of school with 1 quarter left before my degree. I started a business without any idea of what to do. I climbed a mountain without a guide or any experience in climbing. I'm going to India for 2 weeks to drive a rickshaw 3,500 kilometers in January. The very things I am 100% the most proud of are all things people told me not to do because it was reckless. I can tell you something from those experiences: dive headfirst into life. Don't let the masses of scared pussies tell you how to live and project their own sad fear onto you. After you do it, they'll all forget about what they said and you'll be admired, and most importantly, you'll admire yourself. Pick the options that seem like the brave choice and you will be proud of who you are. Pick options that seem like the coward's way out and you'll live like a normal person. Sorry. I was under the impression that you had no real business set up and wanted to go to a third world country out of blue for the foreseeable future. You have 9K registered users on an MVP without marketing. If anything, you should be giving me advice. I don't know much about Thailand, but why not just take a hiatus for 6 months and live in your home country? Is there a reason for Thailand? I don't like living with my parents either, and don't listen to people who want you to live with them. Good luck. You don't need a degree to do what you do, whilst in many other areas you do. Name, reputation, experience, network. It's done with nods and winks, but it exists. The real problem with university is that most people shouldn't be going. They should learn a trade and ply it with gusto. But instead, they take on debt and have no marketable skill to show for it. This is the main problem with the system, and it won't change until something catastrophic happens. On the flip side, entrepreneurialism is painted as an El Dorado, a path to riches for the uninitiated. Lots of mediocre people are attracted to entrepreneurialism for the same reason they don't get much money from the wider system: it gives them something they're able to do without the required experience to pull it off. A shortcut. Markets work the same today as they have always done. Just because you want to bring your shitty Me Too import from China into the game doesn't make people want to buy it. It's the same with the talent pool. Just because you barely scraped through 5 years of lectures doesn't make you entitled to a seat at the table. Results speak louder than words. However you derive those results is up to you, but in the end, the only thing people care about is what you're able to do for them. If you cut off your nose to spite your face, you'll end up drifting between low-level work for your whole life. Be of service, continue investing into yourself, and you'll eventually attract wealth by virtue of the quality of results you're able to deliver. Whilst a degree doesn't determine this, the connections and network derived from going through it would definitely help. But only if you know how to use them. I've actually taken the time now to have a little bit of a closer look at your app. The design is very nice, but it is very counterintuitive to use. I was trying to create a quiz or survey and had no idea how to complete it. Also, it is very misleading that the quizzes are called games. I am actually a user of existing quiz software, but I didn't have any clue on first look that this is what your app was for. Are you clear on who your target customer is? Are you clear on your business model? For example, why would somebody pay to upgrade to the pay feature? Are you clear on your positioning? How is this any different from any other quiz software, as there are a lot of other options out there? Are you clear on how you want to get this to the point where it covers your expenses? As in, do you have any idea how to acquire more paying users? I quite frankly don't think that lack of time is your problem in terms of creating recurring revenue to cover your expenses. My guess is that you spend lots of time coding and hardly any time working on the business side of things, i.e. creating revenue. Spend a few hours a week figuring out how to actually make money from this business without changing anything about your current living situation. I bet you'll be able to move to Thailand while actually having your monthly expenses covered soon enough. I have a possible revenue source for you since this is quiz software. I have to do DMCA takedown requests all the time because people put my stuff up on Quizlet. Think about content creators and IP owners. If we had a way allow, persist, and gate access to our IP when people put it out there, we might be convinced to become customers, instead of just users of the takedown page. I love Thailand. However, I find it smarter to build my skills first. I agree with sticking with the education and foregoing your wanderlust, something I had done up until about 6 meters ago. Now been to Thailand 2x, Japan, and Hong Kong. The trips were worth every penny because it makes you more interesting and increases your value. If even that value is making you a better conversationalist with a unique experience. This said, why do I think you should stick with the education? Foreign white men in general get paid far above Thai locals, if you have some business degree and skills to help a hotel out. However, travel to Thailand, particularly with recent political issues, has its ups and downs, and can impact available jobs or job security. What I have personally done to allow myself hopefully to travel and live in Thailand or probably Singapore because exchange rate is better and greater opportunities. 1. Got my accounting degree 2. Worked over 5 years in accounting, staff accountant, now senior accountant, and controller position is within reach. 3. Got my CPA 4. Halfway through my MBA 5. Networked or networking like crazy, still should be doing more. 6. Made myself super busy learning or studying new skills to save money and invest in myself. So far 20k saved, but I also have 2 rental properties and paid for grad school fully in Kashim. Far from successful, always room for improvement, But what I'm saying is, it's a hell of a lot easier if you establish yourself in USA or Europe or Canada or AU or etc. Before moving. My plan is to hopefully be an interim controller or CFO for US-based organizations with plants located abroad for 3 to 6 meters periods. Or even be interim controller in the US, make money 9 meters a year, learn a new skill or travel in low-cost areas across Asia the next 3 meters. Just set yourself up for success first. I'm 28 years old, and still being patient for another year MBA completed then, until I'm ready to take the leap. Perhaps knowing this is what you want, you can shave off a year or two by working hard and building your resume with this as an end goal. White Island specifically. I'm sure there are plenty of inexpensive spots in Europe. Edit, digital nomadism is overrated. Whenever I travel, I never get any work done. I'd rather settle in an inexpensive spot and take some vacations like normal people, but do whatever suits you. Don't fall for the hype unless it really behooves your capabilities. I couldn't agree more with Johnny Boy. While I enjoyed college and could have done more with my degree, I now wish I would have skipped college at 18, and instead read everything by Russell Brunson, and a few more, and moved to Thailand, even if only temporarily. Assuming your business or teaching English online or something can sustain you out there, the worst that can happen is you spend too much and have to head home and work a normal job for a while to regroup. You're young and have plenty of time to recover from any mistakes you make, so this isn't even that big of a deal. On the other hand, the benefits of going, especially at such a young age, are many. For one, you'll be exposed to entrepreneurs and an entrepreneurial community, which is hard to do in just about anyone's hometown. Second, you'll be able to make entrepreneurial friends and attend workshops, conferences, masterminds, and more where you can learn and be exposed to new business ideas you hadn't considered. There are many more reasons to go, but that should be enough for now. Even if 75% of the people there don't have businesses yet, you'll at least be surrounded by people who are trying, reading, experimenting, learning, and hungry for success. There's a reason those people are there, because Thailand is a great incubator for budding online entrepreneurs. You're young. Take a calculated chance. Learn marketing and sales, and surround yourself with people on a similar mission however you can. As a side note, I'll be heading to Thailand in September for 5 months for all the reasons I stated above. See you out there maybe. I might see you there. This winter I'll be traveling around. Totally agree. But he isn't traveling though. He is staying in the one spot in Thailand. WTF, why would he want a job in Thailand? He should finish his degree so he has a better chance at getting a job in Thailand. I think you misunderstood his post. Just go man. It sounds like you are only planning on doing it for 6 months and can afford for or have budgeted that. The most important thing is to find the best co-working space and community, and what time of the year is best. It's not always all year round. Bali is by far the best but also the most expensive. Chiang Mai is probably the cheapest, but if you have asthma or slight respiratory problems, research burning season. Then there is Koh in Koh Lanta. I haven't been but have heard it's great, but completely dead in rainy season. So in your case it sounds like Chiang Mai would be the winner. I'd say your priority ought to be improving your website and your selling strategy. You have a viable product but your website doesn't sell. Learn sales and copywriting while you apply what you learn to your business, and I bet your income will grow more than enough to pay for your move by the time your placement is done. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate your feedback here. Oh no. Do you understand the principle behind the app? It's basically a board game plus questions, which are the quiz part, so gamified quizzes. You upload a background, place the spaces where you want the players to move, click the green add a space button, then drag it around. Then add the questions. You launch the game on a shared device which everyone can see like a smart board in a classroom and play as the students join on their own devices. Students will see the questions on their device and their avatar will be shown on the game board. Answer the question right. Your avatar moves forwards, and answer wrong and it moves backwards. The movement is configurable when you design the game. Click on the player movement button. I do have a help button on the game builder page, but I guess I should look into other ways to communicate how to use it, or maybe redesign some things. Yeah, I guess I called it that because there are two aspects, the quiz or questions and the game board. So I called them games as they're like gamified quizzes. I'll ask around and see what people think about renaming. I'm just targeting teachers. I know this isn't very specific. Not sure how to niche it down as I have a wide variety of teachers currently using it. I'm going with the freemium business model. Teachers can use the software for free but with restrictions. If they think the paid features look good or they need to support larger classes, then they would pay. At least that's the idea to upgrade. In version 2 there is also Quiznetic for schools, which gives a discounted price for 5+ teachers as well as larger capacity games, 50 players, possibly more features coming in the future. I'm not aware of any software that does exactly what mine does, the whole design a game board to go along with the questions thing. Teachers like to have a variety of tools under their belt to engage students, so I see mine as another one of those tools. I've only just thought about running Facebook ads and things like that. Also, I could try reaching out to schools to see if they're interested in it. Lol, you're right about that. I love coding, I can't help it. As I release V2 and it becomes stable, I'll start setting more and more time on the business side. Will do. Thanks so much for all the feedback and questions. All kinds of perspectives here. Well, here's mine. I'm basically doing what you want to do, expat, digital nomad, whatever the hip term is today. I did finish my degree first, then worked for almost a decade. Was it worth it? Well, it'll help you save some money while you rot in a slow-lane job. That saved money comes in handy when you get hit with random unexpected bills overseas, or need some time to figure things out. That said, if you're the type that has the ambition and discipline, 2 years plus UNI money reinvested into yourself can get you. In my case, living in South America for $12 a day was the only way I could pivot my career to the starting steps of finally doing what I want to do. It's cheap living, and you can get by on entry-level online jobs for quite a while. Frees up time to study or work on your business or skill set. Anyway, here's what I'd say if you want to do the same thing: 1. Try to save some money first. At least a few thousand USD. The more you have, the longer you have to try things out. There will be failures. 2. Set up some kind of backup plan, in case it doesn't work. Do you have a friend's couch you can crash on for a month or two if you come home and it all blows up? Worst case scenario? 3. Many will disagree, but I see most degrees as bullshit. The top winners aren't using a degree or its knowledge. They learned sales, people skills, and invested a ton of time. On the other hand, I know plenty of people with degrees who aren't using them because they couldn't find a job. Now they're screwed with student loans. I'm not using my degree at all for my current line of work. It was a complete waste, unless you count the money it let me save, which was far, far less than the degree cost. 4. Being around other people in Thailand doing the same thing lets you network. But many of them are struggling. Networking with other people struggling won't get you too far. The good people probably won't want to network unless you can prove value. Not saying it's impossible, but great networking connections aren't guaranteed. The more you can offer, the better opportunities you'll have. 5. Get yourself in the freelancer marketplace ASAP. I get most of my leads from Facebook digital nomad groups, but Upwork or etc. also works for some. In many parts of the world, you can get by with 20 or so hours of freelance work per week. $1,000 to $1,500 a month gives you a decent quality of life. That leaves you with extra time to work on the longer-term business, grow your skills, keeps your costs covered, and gives you some cushion when things fail. Obviously working for others isn't the end goal, but it keeps the ship sailing until you sight land. It might connect you with people who will be critical for your business later. In any case, it helps you develop skills you'll need. Don't turn your nose up at a short stint working for others. 6. Churn credit cards for the points. I haven't paid for a flight yet. 7. Do it sooner than later. If you try it, hate it, or miserably fail, you're still young. You can get by with less. It's more socially acceptable at 20 than 30 to live at your parents' or with a friend if things don't work out. There's no questionable resume gap. If you go back to the slow lane. It'll be more or a different kind of fun now than it will be in 10 years. 8. It's fun. Why not have some fun while you work on your goals? It can also be really, really hard. That's good. It gives you a ton of life experience, hardens you, develops you. Living in mom's basement to save costs is also hard, but doesn't have the same benefits. Anyway, that's my 2. I say do it. Get out there and try it. Fail maybe. See what works for you. You have all the time in the world to recover if it doesn't work out. That's a luxury you might not have in 5 or 10 years. Should you quit university? That depends on what degree you're studying, how much it costs you per year, what you're going to do instead, how unhappy you are. People tell you to stay in school because they care about you and are concerned for your future. Finishing your degree versus not finishing is the most reliable way to better your life. In England you can't go wrong by going to college. Therefore, you need to treat your family and teachers like you would skeptical investors. You need to make a rock-solid plan and start executing on it. Quitting is cutting. Instead, build your business to a level where you can say, look people, I'm getting $4,000 sales per month and I can't do school at the same time. Finish your damn degree. You're halfway through a computer science degree and you enjoy programming. Therefore this suggests you're unmotivated or directionless. It should be easy for you to get a pass grade in all your classes in less than 20 hours per week. The extra time is enough for starting any business. Take classes that interest you, or have the lowest workload, or are project-based. The benefits of getting your degree certificate outweigh the negatives, however. And, you need to evaluate your customers and scaling potential before you invest any more time or money. Do some research on the history of other niche educational product companies and larger companies like Udacity. Personally, I think knowledge should be very low cost, which means low margin, for example Udacity, or must be very valuable, for example Masterclass, or be very convenient and effective, for example Duolingo app. The state government provides a K-12 homeschool education program for $0. You can watch a degree worth of mathematics or computer science on YouTube for $0. You're obviously a smart guy, so I encourage you to think bigger. Who do you want to be? Who are your role models? Once you answer that question, then seek out 1 to 2 similar people mentors in England. Did you go straight to university after completing 12 years of school? If yes, then you never had time to think and just do nothing. Be honest with yourself. Do you just want to quit college, run away to Thailand and have some adventure? That's great, just be honest with yourself. So take 1 semester holiday with no expectations. See new places, have fun and meet new people. Learn about yourself. Ask your university about overseas exchange or study abroad programs. Maybe you can study in another country for 1 or 2 semesters and get credit for your degree. Some schools even give you an automatic pass or credit for the time you're at the foreign university. You can use this experience as a way to take an overseas holiday while still graduating on time, or you can network with specific people or companies that are of interest to you. It's a great way to get your foot in the door in high-tech countries like Germany, Korea, Japan or the United States. I was in a similar situation myself, as were my family and friends. You're welcome to message me. If yes, then go. If it doesn't work out, it's a nice holiday. If it does, then congrats.